Lions TV, sorry about that. That was this is why I hate live streaming. I can't have it. I couldn't see you lot. I could only see just nothing. And I was trying to look on fixtures and it was all going tits up. So I fucked it off and I've started again. As I said, this can happen with live streams. I think the camera's a little bit clearer now. And now I can see myself talking to you. And I can see questions popping up. It's Venom. Hello, mate. Is that clear? I think that is definitely clearer now as well. Love the videos. Lewis, thanks. Consider I just completely fucked that up, mate. Thanks a lot. Nice lunchbox. That's my kids' stuff. The thing is, I'll be straight with you, I weren't going to tell anyone because I like to keep a low profile. Well, not a low profile. I'm actually moving house and I'm moving tomorrow and there's just nothing left in here other than this table and the chair and that flag and everything's boxed up and it's just carnage at the minute. But I wanted to do a video tonight for the fixture release. I think that's clearer. I think you can hear me. You low profile. Well, to the point where I don't want people knowing where I live. Let's put it that way, because a few of you lot are weirdos. Let me tell you that much. Let's start again. The fixtures have been released for the 2019-2020 season. We start out in August with a very heavy schedule. We have got 7 games at least in August. We start out with Preston at home. First game of the season. As I said already, I would have preferred, no disrespect to Preston, but a little bit of a bigger game. Then we go to the West Brom away on the 10th. Obviously, they beat us there 2-0 last year, and they completely outclassed us on the day. They're a team that I'm tipping to do the business next year now under Slaven Bilic. Then we might as well have a little mini break in the Black Country, is it called? Or is that Wolves? I'm not sure. In the Midlands. Nonetheless, we go to West Brom in the first round of the Carabao Cup on the 12th. So it's 4 days apart. It's frustrating, but it is what it is. Then we've got Sheffield Wednesday at home on the Saturday. Following that, the first midweek away game first midweek game full stop, but it is away from home on Wednesday. I'm just going to look now, 21st of August is Fulham, which is a little bit annoying because Fulham usually, obviously they was in the Premier League last year. The year before I was working away, so I didn't get to go to Fulham, but Fulham is usually one where people like to take the boat, go up the Thames and have a good day out. So I don't know if that was in the fixtures and the police's mind when they made that a Wednesday game away to Fulham. After that, we make the longest trip of the season. We literally slap it up to Middlesbrough on Saturday, the 24th. We drew 1-1 there last year. I'm just going off memory here, but we drew 1-1 there last year. I think Jed Wallace got a goal, did he? Pretty sure he did. And then on Saturday, the 31st of August, we are at home to Hull. Now, there are no easy games in the Championship. Don't get me wrong. But that's not the worst start. It's not the worst start. There's some beatable sides there, without an absolute doubt. Then we move into September. And as we go along, I'm just going to give you a little comment on just memory from last year, the games that we went to. Blackburn Rovers was one I'd never been to before. And last year we went to Blackburn Rovers. They was newly promoted. And I was expecting a real buzz about the place. You know, they've got some good players, Bradley Dack, some exciting players going forward. And it was one of the weirdest places I've ever been in my life, Blackburn. Strange place, absolutely no atmosphere. Yeah, weird turnout. But we drew there 0-0. Actually, Steve Morrison missed an absolute sitter at the inside of the post. After that, it's a London derby on Saturday, the 21st of September. It's QPR at home. A little bit of transfer news. We could have one of their players tomorrow. I'm thinking we're going to. And then obviously newly relegated as well from the Premier League, is Huddersfield Town at home on... No, is it away? I'm having a nightmare today. It's away on Saturday, the 28th of September. I put a short video out this morning on social media, and what happened was I got the fixture list through, and it said we had Huddersfield away last game of the season. And when I've checked what the picture I had, I can't upload it because we're live, obviously. That's the frustrating thing. The club must have messed it up, and it said we had Huddersfield away twice and not at home. I don't know why we are at home twice, first game of the season and last game of the season. That's a bit random, but as I said this morning, we'll absolutely take it. Then, for as many games as we've got in August, 7, we've only got 3 in September. That's because obviously the first week of September is the international break. as fucking boring and as annoying as that is. And then we move into October and it picks up again. We've got 5 fixtures in October. These are good ones for me. We've got Luton away, which is a midweek game, unfortunately, on the 2nd of October. But Luton, for me, is always a lively one. They've got one of them old school, disgusting grounds that look like it grew inside a housing estate. But they're the grounds that I love, where the pillars coming down and, you know, I don't like these grounds, as you know, like soulless bowls, like Coventry's new ground and Derby's ground's not too bad, but they're all built on these complexes with Frankie and Benny's next door. The old grounds are definitely the best, and Luton is one that looks like it literally grew in the middle of a load of terraced houses. After that is Leeds at home on Saturday, the 5th of October. Every year, we seem to do the business against them. Obviously, last year away we didn't, but definitely at home. Last year we got a point against them. Last year we got a point against them. The year before that, obviously, we beat them twice and derailed their promotion push. There must be something wrong with fixtures. They weren't expecting to see Leeds in this, but Leeds are still in the Championship. So if someone can help me out with that, I don't know what's happened there. Then it's another London derby away to Brentford. Now, for everything I've just said about loving old grounds that look like they grew there, Griffin Park is an absolute shithole and I cannot stand it. But I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, that Brentford will be in their new stadium for this. So, first 3 fixtures of October, Luton nice and local, Leeds at home, and then Brentford away. Should be a good turnout for all those. And then 2 more home games, Cardiff at home and Stoke at home. So I'm literally looking at these as you are. I'm seeing these for the first time, a lot of them. I had a quick look earlier. But for me, October's looking like a very good month. Luton away, Leeds home, Brentford away, Cardiff home, and Stoke City home. For me as well, for someone that runs the channel, it'll be a nice cheap month because I've got a season ticket and 2 very local away games. Then we move into November. Reading, don't know how they're still in this division, to be fair, but they are still in this division. And then, after Reading away, we are at home to Charlton on Saturday, the 9th of November. The last time Charlton were in the league and we played them at home, we beat them 3-1. And that was the night I did the Lions TV Christmas special with Tony Warner, Ronnie Ball, and Robbie Ryan. Sorry, Robbie, not that you'll be watching anyway. But we won 3-1 that night. And obviously, Charlton have not beat us since 1996. I know that for a fact because I was there. They beat us 2-0 at the Valley and Lee Bowyer scored one of their goals. I thought it could be a bit of a comedy show this year with Charlton, but Lee Bowyer has since signed a new contract. So I don't think it's going to be, easy as I think we might be against Charlton. But it'll be a good game no less in November. Swansea away doesn't excite me. Wigan at home, another team don't know in this division. And then Birmingham away. We've won twice there in the last 2 seasons away at Birmingham. Last year, Birmingham, we won 2-0 in midweek. Ben Thompson scored both the goals. The year before, that was in the start of our 17-game unbeaten run. And Fred Onyedinma scored the winner and we won 1-0. Moving into December, we are at home to Nottingham Forest. Then we are away to Bristol City, away to Derby. Barnsley at home, they're back in the division now. This is the one. This is the strangest one in here for me. Cardiff City away on Boxing Day. What is that about, honestly? I've said as well I'm going to try and go every game next season. So Cardiff City away for me is an absolute bollockake on Boxing Day. Not good at all. And then obviously on the 29th, we are at home to Brentford, which is what you expect. And then New Year's Day, we are at home to Luton. Again, which is what you expect. You expect local games in and around the Christmas period, or as local as they can be. But to have to go to Cardiff away on Boxing Day it's an absolute slap. It's an absolute bollockake, as I said. Moving into January, as I said, we got Luton at home on New Year's Day. Then we are away to Stoke City on the 11th of Jan. We're at home to Reading on the 18th of Jan. And this is the one for me, we say it as it isn't a big one, but we love to give Leeds a bit of shit. And again, as I said, I'm surprised to see him here because I didn't think they was going to be in this division. They was out of sight again, apparently under Marcelo Bielsa, whatever his fucking name is. Leeds away is on Saturday the 25th of January. I was born on the 28th of January, 1980. So this game is 3 days before my 40th birthday. So I will probably try and make a weekend of that one with the boys from Lions TV. The last 2 seasons we played Leeds, I haven't been at either. Last year, I didn't go. I can't remember why I didn't go. It was one of the very few games I missed. The year before, I was nearly dead in hospital, so that was my excuse there. There was 7 goals the year I was in hospital. Obviously, we come from 3-2 down after leading 2-0, went 3-2 down, ended up winning the game 4-3 with Jeb Wallace's winner. And last year, we lost by 3-2 after leading 2-1 and lost again towards the end of the game. So what's that? Do your maths. That's 17 goals. How's your maths? That's 12 goals between the 2 teams in our last 2 visits to Ellen Road. So I'm stuttering all over the place tonight, and I'm not sure why that is, but this can happen when you're live. Moving into February, we are away at Sheffield Wednesday. As I said, Sheffield Wednesday away on the 1st of February is the first time in 3 years. I've been there the last 2 seasons, and we've played them away in midweek, which again, going back to the ground situation, Hillsborough is a ground that I love. Very old, an old English ground with a lot of history. When I was a kid, it used to be, they used to play the FA Cup semi-final, one at Aston Villa's ground and one at Hillsborough. And I love that ground, so it'd be good to go there on a Saturday. After that, we are at home to West Brom, home to Fulham, away to Preston. Have that 2 Saturdays on the bounce. Away to Preston, Saturday the 15th of Feb. Away to Wigan, Saturday the 22nd of Feb. Wow. They could have broke out with an home game in the middle. After that, we are at home to Birmingham, which is again in midweek, like it was last season when I think we lost by 2-0. We had a player sent off early. I think Ryan Leonard was sent off very early. Bristol City at home. And we're moving to March, away to Nottingham Forest, which will be a decent one on a Saturday. Home to Derby, away to Barnsley. Last time we went there, Ben Marshall scored the absolute weldy, didn't he? That was the coldest football match I have ever been to in my life. Picked up Kieran. He was pissed up or sober, or still drunk, if not hungover. And I drove to Barnsley. We thought it was going to get called off on the way there, but it didn't. Swansea at home. Then in April, we are Charlton away, Middlesbrough home, Hull away, shithole. Blackburn at home, Queen's Park Rangers away on a Saturday, which should be good. And then in May, we finish off with Huddersfield at home. I'm going to stop doing the fixtures now. That is the fixtures done, but I'm starting to bore myself talking about them. So you ask me some questions. You tell me what fixtures you are looking forward to. What was the month there that looked really good to me? Was it February? There was a good month there where we had some good fixtures as well as some local ones. No, it wasn't. It was January. Luton at home, Stoke away. No, it wasn't that one. That's Leeds. Let's go back further. Anyway, moving off the fixtures, let's moving on to players coming in and players going out. Players coming... Should we do the coming in first or should we do the going out? Players going out. Steve Morrison has left the club this week. It was a little bit of a shock one, to be fair, but Morrow has left the club and he's joined Shrewsbury on a year-long loan. Easy for me to say. It was one that surprised me. When people were saying, why have we loaned him out? What was the point in that? I'll tell you the point in us loaning out Steve Morrison. Steve Morrison wants to play for another year. Us staying in the division has triggered a clause in his contract, which means he gets another year at our club. Now, Steve Morrison knows he's not going to play any sort of part this year. He played a very small bit part last season where he came off the bench a few times. And listen, he's a club legend, and I've said that on my social, but he's beyond what we need now in the Championship. That level seems to have passed him now, and he's winding down. So I'm not going to slag him off, but he's no longer up to the Championship. So in my mind, it works very well because Morrow could be a bit of an arsehole and go, I'm going to trigger that extra year. Well, he's going to do it anyway because he's probably absolutely Keiko, they say it right, but he's got a family to support. He's a professional footballer. If he can get another year at 30, what is he, 35, 36, then he's absolutely going to do that. But Shrewsbury have come in, they're interested. He can go to Shrewsbury and play another year. I estimate Steve Morrison, again, it's just an estimation, to be on around £10,000 per week. Now, if he goes to Shrewsbury and plays for a year, for his final year, and we split the cost with him, that's £5,000 a week potentially we'll save. Work that over the course of the season, it's about £250,000. So it frees up wages for us. It gives another space on the bench for someone else instead of Morrison. It gives Shrewsbury the player that they want, and I think he'll still do well in League One, by the way. And it gives Steve Morrison another year of football. Another reason I think we've kept him, kept it as a loan instead of just letting him go on a free. I think you'll see Steve Morrison come back next season as part of the coaching staff, possibly as boss of the under-23s again. That's just a prediction for me. It's not, again, I know nothing concrete. I don't want to get myself in trouble with the club. I seem to be saying that a lot lately in my videos, and it is a little bit of a shithouse way out, but I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. Players coming in. A lot of people getting frustrated about players coming in. I've started to get a little bit frustrated about players going in. The staff at Mill will go back tomorrow. The first team go back to pre-season training on Monday. So we could do with players in sooner rather than later now. It is getting to that stage. But we need a lot of players. There's not been a lot of movement in the Championship, full stop, at the minute. But that's okay for clubs that may only need slight tinkering, 1, 2, maybe 3 players. We need a fucking lot of players. As I said, we've got now, with Steve Morrison going out on loan, we've got 17 players, and it's still unsure if Tom Elliott, Fred Onyedinma and Aidan O'Brien will remain at the club. Neil Harris has said that we will listen for offers on all of those. So, it's a tough one, and I try to not get myself in trouble, but I always wait for other people to put out first. But I'm pretty confident in saying that the Ipswich keeper, Bart Bilakowski, or words to that effect, that's the shortened version, believe me, is going to sign for us before the end of the week. And I'm confident, quietly confident, that Matt Smith will also sign for us by the end of the week. It is time to get things moving now. As I say, pre-season starts on Monday for the first team, and we are very, very light players. We need players in. I did hear another rumour, which I will divulge, but I had to write the guy's name down because I've personally never heard of him. And I heard a rumour that a guy called Nick Blackman, who is currently on loan at Sporting Gijón from Derby County, could be signing for us. He's a winger, stroke forward. He's not had the greatest of career. If you look at his Wikipedia page, yeah, Nick Blackman, I'm hearing that there could be potentially an interest in him. And I'm hearing that the other guy, I've forgotten his name now, Sam Winnell, I'm hearing that deal's not dead either. I don't want to go to town and slag people off before things have happened. But for me, I would rather go after players that are unproven at this level, younger players, and take a chance on those players. Instead of, potentially Matt Smith and Blackman, whoever this guy is, Nick Blackman. Players we already know and Sam Winnell are not amazing at this level, and they are slightly older. I'd rather go for the younger players. I'd rather sign Tom Eves over Blackman all day long. But I'm not the manager. So, again, these are just rumours that are here. They're not concrete. I don't know anything for definite, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get the Bartman, the Ipswich keeper. He's going to have to be called the Bartman. It could be a bit cringe, but I can't try and pronounce his name every time. Can't deal with it. I'm also confident Matt Smith's going to sign. And as I'm hearing, Nick Blackman potentially to Millwall is another one that's on the cards. For those of you asking about the kit and why it isn't out yet and saying it's a shit show, one of my good mates is fuming about it. The kit's not out yet, obviously, and I'm hearing because Husky, who is our new sponsor, have yet to approve the design on that, but it would be nice to get it sooner rather than later so we can get the kids all kitted out for their summer holidays, but I can't see that happening, if I'm honest. Right, that is... Is there anything else to go? Oh no, there's I'm going to talk about the documentary and I'm going to talk about a giveaway. But for now, shoot, ask me some questions. Fucking hell, don't all line up at once. Here we go. How low? The Jamal Lowe deal was a difficult one because Portsmouth don't need to sell him. And I will, for once, give our club a lot of credit. They don't seem to be giving up. They've offered more than we've ever offered before for a player. We offered 1.5, I'm hearing. Then we upped it to 2.5. So you can't knock us for trying. It doesn't seem to be a lot of our interest. There's definitely pluses that I'll take from the Jamal Lowe thing, and these are thus. Jamal Lowe, I'm hearing, is just his missus has just had a kid, so he doesn't want to move really from, okay, plays for Portsmouth, but a lot of players shoot down the A3 into Portsmouth from southwest London. So Jamal Lowe's from London, born and bred, and he's just had a child, so I'm hearing he wants to stay in London, for one. He played with Ben Thompson, obviously, at Pompey for 2. And when Tomo got that new contract the other week, Jamal Lowe commented, I know it's only minor stuff, but you don't get a lot, so you can only read into that what you can. There doesn't seem to be a massive deal of interest from other clubs for Jamal Lowe. That's the third point I'll make. And the fourth is that, for once, we don't seem to be fucking giving up. We don't really seem to be making a silly offer and going, oh, okay, fair enough. We've gone for 1.5. They're not having it. We've upped our interest. At that point, Wigan seem to have dropped out. And now we are going for it with Jamal Lowe. I think we've offered 2.5. The problem we've got is Portsmouth don't need to sell. And they are in a good position financially, as well as they just missed out on a Premier League Championship last year. So that's the problem we've got, and apparently they're holding out for around £3 million. Neil Harris has obviously come out and said very publicly that we will more than likely break our transfer record again this summer, which it was Ryan Leonard. And before that, I was desperate for the curse to be broken because it was Paul Goddard from 1990. And now I wish the fucking curse hadn't been broken. But yeah, Jamal Lowe, that's all I know on that one. It seems to have gone a bit quiet. Apparently Burnley were interested again, but no one's come out and actually gone bang, made a real statement of intent other than ourselves. So fair play to the gaffer and the club for that. And I think if we get him, he'll be a great player for us. Who did Lee Gregory sign for? Again, a lot of us are moaning, myself included, and on the Lions TV group chat, a lot of people are saying, oh, we fucking ain't signed no one, blah, blah. But if you look at the Championship as a whole, as I said earlier, there's not been a great deal of movement, full stop, in the Championship. We all heard the rumour Lee Gregory was going to go to Stoke. But again, that's just from sources on Twitter, and rumours can spread very quickly, trust me. But Lee Gregory, I'm expecting him to join Stoke within the next week or so. Don't forget, the season will end and players will go, my mate plays for Colchester and he's gone on 3 holidays. So how much are these players earning? Good luck to them. A fair play to them, but that's what they do. They can't go away during the season. They don't get any release during that 9 months. So when the season finishes, they have a very short window where they can go on holiday. And, that's what they do. They go holiday to an extent where they go 2-3 times. I see a few people are getting married. Gregory's recently got married. Shane Ferguson's getting married. So they get all that done. And then, obviously, once that is done, then they can start, sorting out deals and whatever for their new club. So Lee Gregory, I'm expecting to go to Stoke, if I'm honest. And it's a good move for him, and I think he'll do well. Any further questions? Mark Moran says Sam Winnell and Matt Smith will be good signings for us. I don't want to be negative. But for me, looking at Tom Eaves, I know he's unproven in League One, but he's younger than the pair of them. He scored a lot of goals in League One, and I'd be tempted to see him and take a chance on if he can make that step up, because Sam Winnell and Matt Smith have never really set the world alight in this division. And they're not going to join, no disrespect to our club, they're not going to join a better team in Millwall. Sam Winnell's been at Sheffield Wednesday and Derby. The cold facts are, we're not better than those sides. So I would be tempted to take chances on youngsters that don't then pay off. I'll be less frustrated with that than Matt Smith. He scored a few goals, Matt Smith, last season when it looked like he was going to leave QPR under Holloway, and then he sort of turned it round. Listen, he's 6'6", so if he comes in, we will be playing direct football. And as I've said, I don't think that's a bad thing for us. I think the direct football can work if we've got the players to do it, as we did for 2-3 seasons with Morrison and Gregory. It worked fantastically well. It got us promoted. But then Morrison's game started to fade, which in turn made Gregory have to do more work off the ball, and that's when it didn't work for us. But I think next season we will go back to the direct play, especially if we sign Matt Smith, which is exactly what I'm expecting us to do tomorrow. Heard about Herbie Kane. Herbie Kane was a player that we are supposedly interested in. I did hear that rumour. I put it out on my social. Have I seen so much of Herbie Kane? I've not seen too much of him. I watched, obviously, the playoff games against Charlton. He did look good. Looked commanding in midfield. I think he was left-footed. I may be wrong on that one. But he wasn't afraid of a long-range shot. He's come out of Liverpool's academy. So, obviously, he's not going to be no joke. He was in the League One Team of the Year. Herbie Kane to Millwall, again, a young player that was at Doncaster, did very well, so now we need to give him the opportunity to see if he can step up. It is a risk, but you don't mind taking that risk, as opposed to buying players that couldn't ever cut the mustard in this division. I think it'd be a good move for us. If you look at us in the centre midfield area now, with Ryan Tunnicliffe gone, with Ryan Leonard nowhere near good enough in my opinion, with Sean Williams, a very good player but now ageing, we've not got a lot in central midfield. Ben Thompson obviously will be our main man next year. Billy Mitchell I like a lot, from obviously come on last game of last season away at Wigan. I like Billy Mitchell, a young player, but we don't want to put too much pressure on him. I would very much like to see him in and around the bench this season and more involved, but we definitely need central midfielders. I think Herbie Kane with Ben Thompson, it would be not a bad combination at all, but it's a very young combination. I think we need a bit of experience in there. People hammer me for it, but I like Williams alongside Tomo. I think we do all okay there, and I think we get results, and I think we get the job done. Williams' passing range is ridiculous. As I said though, he is ageing. Ben Thompson's like a lunatic in and around. I definitely think a midfield three, central three, suits us more. And unfortunately, as much as I said I don't rate him, you're going to see Ryan Leonard involved next year without an absolute doubt. As it stands, I can guarantee you start of next season, you're going to have Ryan Leonard and Ben Thompson in that midfield too. Whether it's a 4-4-2 or it's a central three, I don't know. But I was just about to say I wouldn't be surprised if he went and got Ryan Tunnicliffe back. But I honestly think a lot of you are going to be very surprised. For those of you who say to me, Jordan Archer's a good keeper and Ryan Tunnicliffe is a good player. See where they end up this year. I think you'll be very, very surprised where they end up, because I don't think many clubs are going to want them. AJ Richards says, I just don't know who we're going to have up front. Well, as it stands at the minute, we have forwards at the club. George Alexander, who I like a lot, but I do think George would benefit from going out on loan for a season. I really believe that. Maybe to a League Two side or to a National Premier Division side. We have Tom Elliott, who is just, it's not even worth discussing. We have Tom Bradshaw coming back from injury, and I'm back in the Bradshaw. Hashtag back to Bradshaw, or bring on the Bradshaw, whatever one it was, I can't remember. But I'm pinning a lot of hopes on Bradshaw, and I think a lot of us are. As I said, he's definitely settled in the area, the boy. He's fully enjoying himself. You've only got to look at his Instagram to see that. But, yeah, Tom Elliott, George Alexander, Tom Bradshaw, Aidan O'Brien, and I think that's it. I think that's the four strikers we have. I wouldn't count Fred as a striker personally. I'd count Fred as a winger. So we definitely have to sign some strikers, because Tom Elliott can't start. I think you might see, if Aidan can sort it out with a gaffer, if they can sort out their differences, which is clearly something's happened, because you can see it on social, the way Aidan comes across. You know, there's been a few little snipes here and there. Gaffer's had a little pop, and something's definitely happened. I don't know what, but from reading between the lines, Aidan's never been given a chance up front. Never, ever been given a chance up front. The problem Aidan's got is he got asked to play midfield, left midfield, for 2 seasons. He's not left-footed. He's not a midfielder. How many times have I said that on the channel? But it's true. And he probably didn't do himself any favours by scoring 15 goals a season whilst he was playing there. The gaffer thought, yeah, nice, here you go. We'll leave the onion bag there. He didn't really know how to play there. So I found that Aidan used to drift into little areas where, you know, if the guy's marking him at right midfield, might go, what the fuck is this geezer doing up here? Because he's naturally a goal scorer, and he is a very, very good natural goal scorer. You cannot deny that. Aidan O'Brien absolutely knows where the fucking onion is, without an absolute doubt. But I think then when we got to the Championship, I think instead of going and buying Tom Elliott, and that's a separate issue, which if you want me to discuss it, I will. Yeah, fuck it, I will. I love Neil Harris as a player, as a manager. I think he's the right man for the job. I think he's got a lot to learn. But the serious question I would ask Neil Harris would be, as good as a striker as you were, what made you go and watch Tom Elliott play a game of football and think, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to fucking sign that guy. Because he is fucking useless, is that right? He's an handful in the box because he's just big and clumsy, and he does cause unrest. But Neil Harris was a fantastic goal scorer, our all-time top goal scorer. What did he go to watch when he saw Tom Elliott, when Lowe Taylor was, by the way, playing in exactly the same side, and think, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to sign him. I don't know what he's thinking. And I think Aidan did the job in League One, kept quiet for 2 years, grafted his nuts off, scored 30 goals in 2 seasons from left midfield, whilst not being a midfielder or being left-footed. And I think Aidan felt then that as a Republic of Ireland international, that was his opportunity for the gaffer to show a bit of faith in him instead of signing Tom Elliott. And it didn't happen, and I think that's maybe where the problem started. I don't know. That's from an outsider looking in, someone who goes to pretty much all the games. That's the feeling I'm getting. I could be miles off, don't get me wrong, but I don't think I am. Whoa, Lowe's come then. Anthony Jessup, bring back John Marquis. That isn't something I'd be against, but it's something that's definitely not going to happen, mate. It's not going to happen. The problem we've got is, it sounds ridiculous because we had John Marquis and we let him go. Lewisham boy, obviously, born and bred in the area, played for Millwall once, come through the youth academy, but we couldn't afford him. We couldn't afford to buy him. Sunderland apparently in for him, and he cost about £3-4 million. He scored a lot of goals. He scored a lot of goals in League Two. He stepped up first season League One, wasn't fantastic. Second season in League Two, he scored a lot of goals. And again, referring back to watching him in, as I did Herbie Kane, in the League One playoffs against Charlton, he didn't do loads. He didn't make great deal of movement. What he did was he stayed very central when he got his goal. And that's, as a centre forward, you can't ask for any more than that. I think that's a big problem we have with Gregors. I loved Gregors, but because he was getting frustrated playing up front by himself, you'd see him start running channels. You see him start dropping deeper or running into corner flags because he was trying to make things happen for himself. Marquis doesn't do that. Marquis goes, fuck you, bang, I'm staying central because I'm a goal scorer. And I think Gregory could have benefited more by doing that himself. But, Marquis, get back to Marquis and not Gregory. Would I be opposed to bringing him back? No, I wouldn't. But it's not going to happen because we can't afford him. Natalie Newton. Oh, hello, Nat. How are you? The West Brom games will be all right for you, wouldn't they? West Brom away. 2 times in 4 days. What do I think of Yuri Skalak? It's a good question. Again, I think of Yuri Skalak. I think of Ryan Leonard. The signings we've made, the gaffer come out and said when we signed Yuri Skalak, this is the guy I wanted before I wanted Ben Marshall. So, I don't know. He's come to the club. He's on a lot of cake. Someone uploaded something recently to Twitter and they said the man formerly known as Yuri Skalak. And it was his show reel from Brighton. Now, if you've got a good editor like me, you can make anyone look like a good player. But he did knock some beautiful deliveries into the box. But I think, again, something's happened behind the scenes that I don't know as. But why has Skalak come to us? Harris has said he's been tracking him for years. He got to the Premier League with Brighton. And then he comes in and he can't get near it. He can't get a sniff. He's in the 23s. I don't think, again, it may sound harsh, I don't think anyone else is going to want Yuri Skalak. I don't think you'll ever get rid of him. I think he's going to sit his contract out because I think once he knows his contract's done at Millwall, he'll probably end up going back to the Czech Republic, which I think is where he's from. Yeah, he is. He's from the Czech Republic. So I think, Harris has said, I've told Skalak to come back stronger and prove himself to me. Now, signed for nearly £1 million. Should he not have done that in the first place? I don't know. I mean, he's got a big red Ferrari that he drives around the gaff and they've said to him, don't bring that to the ground. Like, you can bring it training, but don't bring that Ferrari to the ground. I know he's got a young family and maybe he's enjoying the money, but he definitely, we've got to pursue with him. Again, he can't be any worse. And I love Jed. Jed's fantastic for us, and you can see he wants to play for the club. But Jed's delivery towards the end of last season, apparently he was carrying a knock, was absolutely horrendous. So these players, when they're not doing it, left midfielders, when they can't get him doing it, get Yuri Skalak on, just pursue with him, give him a run of games. Because you give Leonard a run of games, you give Tunnicliffe a run of games, you give other players that ain't fantastic runs of games. And in Shane Ferguson's case, you've got the best out of that. That's turned it around. So for me, Skalak's not going anywhere. He's on big dough. We've got to give him a chance or pursue with him. Hopefully, he'll come back, pre-season, might get his head right, and he might have a good go. David Nugent, you sign as backup. I see something pop up on the Mill Twitter the other day, Throwback Thursday. It was David Nugent. It was about 2002, and David Nugent scored against us at the Den. He always scores against us. He is kicking on there in age. I do understand what you're saying. I wouldn't mind an experienced striker on the bench, like Morrison was, but a better standard now, unfortunately. Sorry, Steve. But a better player than Morrison, a goal scorer off the bench. I've got no problem with an experienced goal scorer coming off the bench. So although I say I like youth and I want to build for the future, having a 32, 33, 34-year-old on the bench for one season, maybe to come on and try and dig us out in the hole, which could be happening a lot next season, I wouldn't mind that. But Nugent, again, would Nugent want to come to London at however old he is? He don't need the dough, clearly. He's had a lot of good moves in his career. And I don't think it'll happen, to be honest. Finn Hart. Peter Crouch in. That's an interesting one. When Neil Harris has come out and said that we are tracking a Premier League player, the first person that popped into my head was Peter Crouch. Could it be Peter Crouch? I don't think it'd be a bad thing. Again, Peter Crouch is one coming towards the end of his career. He's starting to branch out now into media. He's got his own podcast. He's a funny fucker, so he's doing other bits and pieces. And maybe football isn't the thing at the forefront of his mind. But as I say, he's comical, Peter Crouch, and he's just a big giant lamppost. And I think he'd be a hero at Millwall. I really do. And again, you know, as we've seen like he used to do for England, obviously he's not at that standard anymore. If you're losing, shit balls into the box, get Peter Crouch on last 10, 15. We know that's a tactic that definitely we like to pursue with at Millwall. I'd take Peter Crouch. I would. Hang on, I missed those, sorry. As I said, sorry, I'm going to be squinting and I'll probably look horrendous doing that, but I haven't got my glasses. Billy Symes, here's my boy. What's all this about Charlie Austin? I don't know. A rumour again. I think we're scraping the barrel with these older players. I'd take one of them. I would take, if I had the choice, let's talk about the last three there. If I had a choice between Crouch, Nugent, and as Billy says, Charlie Austin, I don't think we get any of them because I don't think any of them want to come. I don't think we get any of them because they're wage demands. But if I had to pick one, I'd take Crouch. Second to that, I'd take Charlie Austin. But yeah, I don't think Charlie Austin's going to happen. I don't think it'll happen, to be honest with you. We need to build for the future. And I put a photo up yesterday. Obviously, Steve Morrison and Lee Gregory, the deadly duo. The final time, you know, they're gone now. And trust me, for those of you on board with me, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who are not on board with me, we're going to miss them too, trust me. And it's going to be very hard. Steve Morrison come from Stevenage back in the day. I know he went away and come back again. Lee Gregory come from Halifax for something like $250,000, 400 grand. And signed by Ian Holloway, by the way. And we had it off. We absolutely had it off there. That was an unbelievable partnership that grew. And to get that partnership is going to be so difficult. So difficult. With Bradshaw, you could pursue with it. I'm wishing him all the best. I'm really hoping he does the business. But again, another one that hasn't really ever done the business at this standard. That's why I'm thinking, you know, if you got Eves in, which ain't going to happen, by the way. We're not even in for Tommy's. I'm just speaking from my own mind, what I'd do. You've got two young players there you can pursue with. Even if we get to a good partnership, it ain't going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. We do anyway, but we're going to extra specially struggle to score goals next season, if that's even the correct terminology. But we're going to struggle to score goals next season unless we break the bank. My mate said to me today, Berylson's giving Harris 10 million to spend. That's including wages, but don't know. One player I'd absolutely take back, by the way, is George Saville. And that could be a controversial one, but he was superb for us. Went to Middlesbrough, posh George. Posh boy from Surrey, come through the Chelsea Academy. Went to Third World Middlesbrough. Sorry if you're from Middlesbrough, but that's the truth. And he hasn't made the grade there. I knew he wouldn't. So if we could have him back again, would we? I would. Would it work, though, with the fans? And could he turn them around? Because George Saville's a massive miss for us. And him alongside Ben Thompson and maybe Herbie Kane could work. We definitely need some experience in that midfield. We're going 40 minutes and I feel fresh as a day's been born. Sorry, mate. Someone just asked me a question about a player I've never heard of. Billy Symes says, Alex Pearce for captain. I said today that Bilakowski, whatever his name is, the Ipswich guy, the Bartman, is our second summer signing. Some people say, well, who's the first? Well, it's Alex Pearce. Alex Pearce was on loan to us from Derby. And he very quickly came in and established himself not only as a first-team regular, but a leader on the pitch. And could he be captain? I think he should be captain. Let's not forget, by the way, Sean Hutchinson, who, not the season gone, but the season before, was our player of the year. First joined the club, had a couple of injury worries. Injury worries, easy for me to say. And, yeah, he got round that corner and he built a very, very formidable partnership with Jake Cooper, which in turn resulted with Jake Cooper getting Young Player of the Year and Sean Hutchinson getting, obviously, the Player of the Year. The problem happened then was Hutchinson randomly cut his foot, putting his bins out, and then after that he picked up an illness and ended up in hospital for a bit. So this was at the stage when it came out there was a lot of unrest in the Millwall dressing room, and people were assuming that Sean Hutchinson was part of that. But Sean Hutchinson wasn't part of that, and Harris has since come out and said that Sean Hutchinson is absolutely one of the players he wants to keep next year. And as I've already said, I maybe wouldn't play 4 at the back next year, but we will definitely play 4 at the back next year, whether it's a 4-4-2 or it's a 4-2-3-1 or it's a 9-7-4. We'll always play 4 at the back. Now, 3 centre-halves in Hutchinson, Cooper and Pearce is good for me. Pearce will probably be captain. Put it this way, whoever gets in first, Cooper's going to play. Cooper's our main man, like it or not. I love Cooper, but Cooper's our main man, and that's the end of the story. Whether it's Hutchinson or whether it's Pearce, I think one of those will be captain. Ben Thompson, in time, I'd love to see him as Mill captain, but his first full season back with us, after how well he did after coming back from Pompey towards the end of last season, I don't think he needs that added pressure. I think you're definitely going to see whoever gets in the team out of Pearce and Hutchinson, I think you'll see those, either one of those, as captain. Dan, what is your thoughts on your ex-keeper joining West Ham? I just said West Ham, sorry. Dave Martin. Excuse me. Dave Martin came to Millwall from... Was he a free agent or did he come from MK Dons? No, he came to Millwall. He came into the setup. And let's have it right, it's a fucking weird setup. It's a clicky setup. I'll say that without any fear of any comeback. It's a clicky setup. Something definitely isn't right at the club and it hasn't been for a while. Something beyond football, in my opinion, was going on with Jordan Archer. I don't know how he got away with what he got away with for so long. It was daylight robbery how that guy was getting the side. Dave Martin come in, stellar professional, got his chance away at Aston Villa. We drew 0-0. He had a good game. He didn't have an amazing game. He made a couple of saves you'd expect your keeper to make. But people were jumping all over it going, what's a keeper? Because obviously Archer's like that, fuck off in the net. Now, despite him doing well and, being a good professional and training hard and being an experienced pro, the second Archer was fit again, Dave Martin got dropped. Then the club signed Ben Amos on loan from Bolton because Bolton couldn't afford his wages. So we've wasted... Archer was on good money, trust me. So was Ben Amos. So Dave Martin is now sitting there as third choice goalkeeper. Maybe the most experienced one of the lot, along with Ben Amos. And no matter what Archer did, he didn't get dropped. When he did get dropped to Amos come in, I didn't mind Amos, but a lot of people didn't like Amos. But I didn't mind Amos at all. He sat and was our third choice keeper for a long time. Now, people saying, why has he joined West Ham to be a third choice? He was our third choice. And no matter what he did, he couldn't fucking get a game. Until eventually, I think, when Amos was injured and Neil Harris finally took my advice, I said on my channel, if he doesn't drop Jordan Archer, we are going to get fucking relegated. And I think finally, he bit the bullet. He put Martin in. Martin come in with Alex Pearce in front of him pretty much around the same time. And they was a good influence on the pitch. They was experienced. They was vocal. And when Dave Martin made the fuck up against Brighton, he comes straight out on his Twitter. He's a proper man. So then when, the end of the season comes and he's out of contract and he then gets offered one, if I was Dave Martin, I would be thinking, hang on a minute. He didn't want to fucking know me 7 or 8 weeks ago, but now I've come and dug him out of shit. They want to offer me a new contract, which is fair enough. That's football and you can't hold grudges. But for then... Listen, West Ham's West Ham, and I ain't going to fucking go into it. We all know how you feel about West Ham. But his dad played for West Ham. He is obviously born and bred West Ham. Now, at 34, I think he's 34, 35, if his boyhood club comes in and says, come and be third choice here, in my mind, I think I've got no faith in Harris because I've got to be third choice here again next season. So, do I blame Dave Martin? Obviously, he'll probably triple his wages as well. Absolutely not. Did he need to go and say on Twitter that it was his dream move and then do the, I can't do it, but you know what I mean, the fucking hammer sign? That was a bit of a kick in the bollocks from Martin. But no, I don't blame him. I don't blame him for leaving. And in the long run, again, you know, the one area I don't have an objection to having a more experienced player is in goal. I wouldn't be looking to sign any outfield player that's over 27 years old. But as a goalkeeper, you know, we're going to sign the Ipswich guy. That's almost confirmed. He's 31. That doesn't bother me because I think you can get the best out of a goalkeeper until they're 34, 35. But Dave Martin to West Ham, do I blame him? No. Did he need to go all overboard and start giving it the hammer sign? No, he didn't. But I wish him all the best. And I think in the long run we could possibly be better off for it. Okay, now 226 people looking. Connor Sefton says, Dan, surely we need left back, mate. Surely we need left back. Well, a mate of mine called Connor as well. I think it was Connor on Lions TV. Connor O'Mara, was it you that said, we fucking need left back? And I said, we all might not be happy with the left backs, but the last thing we actually need is a left back. We've got Murray Wallace come back from injury, who's a left back / centre back, plays for us primarily as a left back. Shane Ferguson is a left winger / left back. I prefer him as a left back. And James Meredith has still got a year to run. We currently have 3 left backs, which is not overkill. I think you're going to have Ferguson as the first choice left back. And we desperately got to get a left-footed left midfielder, by the way, desperately. But getting back to the defence, I think it's going to be Ferguson as your first choice left back, with Meredith backing him up. And then I think you've got Murray Wallace there to cover the left or centre backs, with Marlon right back, and then hopefully Danny McNamara coming into the fold as his apprentice, so to speak, as right back. But do we need a new left back? Meredith, first season for us, fantastic. Now for me, gone. Murray Wallace, don't mind him as cover. Don't mind to go on the FA Cup, the boy. But too big and too physical for a left back, if that makes sense. He's got no pace. If he comes up against a right winger, and talking of those right wingers, Preston, James Meredith last season, wow, absolutely got his pants pulled down. Meredith's gone for me, which is a shame because he was very good for us in the first season. Obviously signed on a free from Bradford. Someone did say to me, could have been Lee Chitty Chitty Bang Bang as well, or from Lions TV, Big Lee. He said Meredith got fucked by going to the World Cup with Australia last summer and not having any time off. A few people said that to me. Maybe, but he didn't play any games in the World Cup, didn't even come on the bench. But I understand if you're there and you've got no rest. Meredith's physical. He's strong. He's a Millwall player. He's very strong in a tackle. His distribution is absolutely horrendous. He's never been able to pass or cross the ball, if you watch that. But left backs, do we need a new left back? We're not going to get one. Basically, I think that's where, short story long, that's where I'm going with this. We're not going to get a new left back. We've got 3 left backs at the club, and we've unfortunately got other priorities this summer. James Slaughter says, what do I think of Steve Morrison moving on? I've covered that, mate. I think it's the best for him. I think it's the best for the club, and it will definitely free up some wages, although I definitely think you'll see Morrow back in some capacity next season. I will cover as well, and people from the club have put this out on their Twitter, their personal Twitters, that there's a lot of perceptions about Morrow being a bully and being this and being that, but he's just a stellar professional. You know, he's just, okay, he's a miserable bastard on the pitch. People say, I asked for a photo of my kid, and he said no. I couldn't give a fuck if he slapped my kid in the face. As long as he does what he does on the pitch, that's what makes him the player that he is, and he still was. And I think he'll do well in League One, and all the best to him. And hopefully then he can come back as Harris, did in a capacity, because I think he understands, despite some of the fans not thinking it, I think he does understand their way. I think he's the panto villain. He's the player you love to hate, but he's definitely got Millwall in him. And I think in the future you're going to see him back at the Den in a coaching role. News on any youth coming through this season? Yeah, eight, I think it was. Youth team players from the under-18s got new contracts. They was a good side. They obviously did well against Spurs in the FA Youth Cup. Billy Mitchell and George Alexander came on for their professional debuts in the last game of last season away at Wigan. I've backed the pair of them publicly. There's a lot of pressure on George Alexander that he doesn't need because his dad obviously was Millwall, but he's a good goal scorer. The good thing we've done is we've cleared out a lot of deadwood. These players that were in the under-23s, like forwards, for example, Christian Brian Mora, not forwards, but Mbulu, Noah Chesmate's joined Maidstone, by the way. Paul Rooney's now joined Dover. These players were getting older, but not getting any closer to the first team. What's the other midfield guy? Harry Donovan. They're getting older, but they're not getting any closer to the first team. And what you've got in George Alexander, okay, he didn't score every week, but George Alexander's very slight because, no disrespect to George, I love him, but he's a boy. He's still a boy. Build-wise, he's the first ever player to play for Millwall that was born in the noughties. So, do your maths. What's that? That makes him 19, doesn't it? Is it 19? We're not sure. It makes him between 17 and 19. And these are the players that you need pushing for the first team. You don't need 24-year-olds in the under-23s, which can happen, by the way, check the rules, trying to push for the first team. So I think we did the right thing. Billy Mitchell, looking at them on the last game of last season, for me, Billy Mitchell's ready. Billy Mitchell was strong, little ox in the centre of midfield, left foot, demanding the ball. If any of you played youth football, as I did, you get taught from a very young age, demand the ball, and everyone's vocal, they're popping, everyone's popping, short interchanging passes, and just keeping the ball, retaining the ball, doing what you need to do. And Billy Mitchell took that from youth football onto the first team pitch of him, and he was demanding the ball of people, he was popping about, lovely left foot, crunching people, not afraid to crunch people, scored a good goal, can score goals on both feet, actually, as we've seen before, with his goal against Spurs in the FA Youth Cup. So for me, Billy Mitchell's ready to be in and around it, and that's maybe a bold statement, but I like to think I know what the fuck I'm talking about, and the 229 of you that watch him maybe agree. George Alexander, I love, scores a lot of goals. As I said, there's a lot of pressure on George, so we need to take it easy on him. He is younger than Billy Mitchell, and I think George will benefit from going out on loan to a League Two or maybe to a national Prem side for a season. But definitely, the youngsters that are coming through now. So I'm sorry, the other guys' names. The other guys' names I don't know. Again, as well, Ryan Sanford now. He's played for England under 19s, 18s and 17s. He's a goalkeeper. West Brom away in the Carabao Cup, throw him in. We're not going to win the fucking thing, so just throw him in and give him a game. Surely, all three of them. There you go, bang. Go and play. Lost 5-0. Not a drama. We weren't going through anyway. For me, that's the way forward. Definitely the way forward. And as I said, going back to the Steve Morrison thing, Morrow was very protective. If he was at Wigan the last day, you would have seen the big fucking horrible airy centre-half from Wigan. Trying to have a pop at the youngsters, Alexander and Mitchell, and Morrow was not fucking having it. Morrow was in his face, talking to the refs, saying, no, I'm not having it. I'm not fucking having it. So I think Morrow, to come back and do the 23s job, is absolutely perfect. But youngsters-wise, we have signed, I think we signed about 8. I think 8 of them got pro contracts. I don't know all their names, sorry boys, but you've all done well. And hopefully we'll see you figure heavily in the 23s. And for me, I'd love to see Mitchell in and around it, and maybe George as well, especially in the Carabao Cup games. Here we go again. Maybe sign Dave Ford. Are you all right, mate? Finn Hart says, where do I think we could finish if we have a good transfer window? I think it's difficult to say because we don't know the players that are coming in, and as we've covered, we need a lot. But I think we'll survive next year. I really do. The clubs at a very crucial stage. I know Husky is sniffing round, and I'm hearing they're very interested in buying the club. But JB don't want to part with it, and you can't blame JB because the amount of money he's pumped in over the years and seen no return for it. He now wants a bit of Koshel back, and fair play to him. I still think not getting away from it, I still think we'll survive. I still think, Harris has got a lot to learn, and there's a lot of fans have question marks over him. If you look at the position we're in now, table-wise and division-wise, we're as good as we have been for a long time, but there is still this cloud hanging over, which is a strange one. So I still think the club's moving forward. I really do. And I've got a strong feeling. We could do in the next 2 or 3 seasons. It's not going to happen overnight, but if we survive again, every year you survive. Every year now you get that parachute payment. Every year you increase that gap and you give yourself a little bit more stability from the teams in League One. I still think the club's moving forward. And I think for definite we'll survive next year. if we survive the year after that as well, that's 4 years back in the champ, and I think we might start looking, instead of looking down, we could possibly start looking up. Fucking hell, I go on, don't I? What else we got here? Marquis and Bradshaw up top. He's not happening, mate. Bradshaw's not coming. Not Bradshaw. Fucking Marquis is not coming. No, Lewis White. Someone said, is Lewis White included in those players that have been given a contract? Lewis White's been released. And a few people were disappointed with that. And I'm sure Lewis White will go on to have a decent career. And I'm sure Lewis White doesn't give a fuck what a fat, balding geezer who's nearly 40 thinks of him. But for me, he was too overindulgent. His final ball wasn't great. And, he scored a hat-trick once for the 23s. But he wasn't, in my opinion, he wasn't up to this standard of football. But, you know, that is what it is. That's just my opinion. It might not be carried elsewhere. I used to love watching the 23s, by the way. I used to go to watch the 23s because they used to play at Dartford a lot. And I live up the road from Dartford. I'm like 15 minutes. And I'm hoping next season they could possibly go back there. Because what they did last season, the club, they started playing a lot of the 23 games at Calmont Road. The training ground, which is obviously closed. Closed training ground, so you couldn't get in there. But I used to enjoy watching the under-23s, and I want to start doing more coverage on under-23s. But see if I can get in to watch the games, which is difficult. But yeah, no, I saw Lewis White a lot, and unfortunately, as I said, I'm sure Lewis will go on to do well. But for me, very tricky player, but reminded me of Fred. Frustrating in the final third. Final ball not fantastic, and very, very overindulgent on the ball. Bill, I can't repeat that. Barnhurst Lion says, has Husky been confirmed? I don't know if they've been confirmed as a main sponsor, but a little bit of an exclusive. If you don't know already, I think a lot of people do. Absolutely 1,000,000% Husky are going to be our sponsor for next season, our shirt sponsor, our main sponsor. Yeah, they sponsored the club last year in some capacity. They had their logo on the back of our shorts. They started producing the, obviously the chocolate bars in the ground, which I've never tried because I only eat salad. We've been going for nearly an hour. Jesus, I didn't even realise that. Sorry. Shall I keep going or shall I wrap it in an hour? That is the question. Archie Compton. Now he's signed for the scum. Did Dave Martin let that go on purpose, mate? Come on. Stuff like that frustrates me. Of course he hasn't. He's a professional footballer. Dave Martin ain't gone up for a cross against Brighton and thought, oh, hang on a minute. I could join West Ham potentially this season. I'm going to fuck myself. You wouldn't do it as a footballer. You wouldn't drop yourself in the shit because your old man played for West Ham and when you was 4 years old. You're a professional footballer. You take things seriously. Things happen in an instant. You don't get the time to think about stuff like that. So, no, of course he hasn't done it on purpose. Although, I'll be honest, it was Jordan Archer-esque. It was Archie used to let goals in and I used to think, something's not right here. I don't know how he could possibly have let that in. He's like dived past it or whatever. And Dave Martin did exactly that against Brighton. But he held his hands up. He come out. He apologised to the fans, which something Archer never fucking did. And you know, took responsibility for his actions. So, no, he didn't do it on purpose. Of course he didn't. We didn't want to play Man City at Wembley anyway, mate. It's the last thing we needed. Okay, here we go. Billy Symes, that's a question I'd like to answer. Again, my boy Bill. I don't know if I did that. Never done that in my life. Jake Cooper staying, because obviously Stevie G and Rangers were sniffing around. For me, yeah, it's surprising that there's been no interest in Cooper yet. I wouldn't rule out that there's going to be an interest in Cooper just yet. I think Rangers may possibly come back in. And if Jake Cooper does go, I will be gutted because I think he's a very good player and I think he's only going to improve. And as much as we need him in defence, we fucking need him going forward as well. Definitely, especially next year. But, yeah, I'm surprised. Maybe we're all getting ahead of the game a bit, but with it being pre-season next week, you'd think that a lot of business would be done. But we've still got, I think I worked it out, 6 to 7 weeks before the season starts. But you want to get those players in early. You want to get them gelling. If Cooper goes, as I've just said earlier, I've just covered in another question I answered about who's captain. If Cooper does go, you're still going to have Hutchinson and Pearce, the two centre-halves, with Murray Wallace as cover. Murray Wallace's cover doesn't over-excite me. I don't mind him at left-back. But, yeah, Could he still go? I'm surprised there hasn't been anyone sniffing Bill. I think you're right. I'm surprised that we've not seen anything or any rumours just yet. And I think if they come in for the right amount of money, I think you may see him go. But what will we be talking for Cooper? You're talking 8 mil. And then that could be the money that we could then go out and buy centre forward. I think to buy a very good centre forward that we want, that scores goals, I've covered this before, you're going to struggle to get a championship player that's going to want to leave their current championship club and come to Millwall. Other than that, you've got to go into League One. The top scorers in League One are Tom Eaves, John Marquis and someone else whose name escaped, can't remember. So where are you going to go to spend this $5 million? Going abroad is a risk. But I think $5 million is what you're looking at. I think we're in a bit of a difficult place because Premier League players might want to come on loan to us, but it's unlikely because of their wage demands. As I said, Championship players ain't going to want to leave current Championship clubs to come to Millwall. And League One, League Two is a risk, but have we got the money to do so? It's a tough one, but getting back to your question of Jake Cooper, I wouldn't be surprised to see him move on, but it's gone quiet, and at the minute I'm pleased with that because I think Juicy Jake's a quality player for us, a very, very integral key in the Millwall cog, shall we say. Who do you think should be right back? Marlon Romeo, Danny McNamara or James Brown? I'm not sure where James Brown is. I'm not sure if he's still at their club. I know he went out on loan a couple of times last season, once to a Scottish club, I think, and once to Carlisle, I think it was. Danny McNamara, who I used to watching under 23s, and I'll be honest, he didn't always bowl me over, but he's very young. And again, these players sometimes need to be pushed and given the opportunity. Having said that, in Danny's defence, I've always said as a right back, you don't, or any full back, you don't need to bowl the world over. If you're a right back and no one's really noticed you're on the pitch, you're doing your job because you've got to try and contain wingers and defend. Marlon Romeo, I've said it time and again, is a fantastic talent. And I'm confident, very confident, that Marlon isn't going anywhere anytime soon. I think he's got a lot to learn defensively. I think he'd be a lot better as a wing-back in a 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2, whatever. He's very exciting going forward. He's Millwall through and through. And, obviously he's going to be the number one choice. James Brown seems to have been pipped in the pecking order. I keep choosing difficult sentences to say. He seems to have picked James Brown in that pecking order. So, yeah, I don't know. McNamara, again, as I said, we've got to start. We need a backup. Last year we had Conor McLaughlin, who I rate, but has now moved on from the club. The year before, or 2 years before that, we had Sean Cummins as the right back. And, fair play to Marlon. They keep bringing people in. He just keeps knocking them down. He keeps his place. So Marlon Romeo is our first choice right back. Let's have it right, absolutely. But he definitely has got work to do on his defending, Marlon. But again, in time, I think he will go on to prove himself as a very good player, and I think he will go on to the next level, but just not with us. No, I've done the Jamal Lowe thing. Ryan Leonard can play right back. Yeah, no, he can go right back. He can go right back to Southend, in my opinion. That's about it. Someone said that we don't seem to replace James Henry. Well, we have. We've got Jed Wallace. Is he not similar to that? The problem we've got in midfield is I used to bury Shane Ferguson because I just didn't think he had any bottle. And getting dropped, give him that bottle, give him that fucking little burning fire and the anger inside he needed to come good again. And he was in the wilderness for a long time, Fergie. But I prefer him at left back. He's not a left winger for me. Obviously, we went in for Joe Lolly, who ended up joining from Huddersfield Forest and ended up being their player of the year. We need a pacey, left-footed winger to give us balance. Aiden used to play there, and he can only play with the manager asking him to play, but he'd cut in a lot and he'd drift out of position, which not only left our left back exposed, but didn't give us a great deal of balance and attacking prowess, I'm going to say, is that a word? Down the left mid. Shane Ferguson for me is a left back. When we had Marshall there, Marshall again was right-footed, used to drift in. We had Scalak, was a right-footed, needs to drift in. We need a very pacey, very exciting left footer who is not afraid to go old school, Too many people now cut in, pop, pop, pop. Get the ball. Run at the fucking heart of the defence. Run at the fullback with aggression. Knock the ball beyond him and get past him, because by the time he's turned his body and tried to get round, he's not going to get there if you've got any bit of pace about you, and get a good delivery into the box. So for me, James Henry, I think that Jed Wallace is very similar to James Henry. I think the right footers aren't a problem. I think we need a left-footed, very pacey winger, Joe Lolly. If I had the money and we really went for it in the Championship and we could get the players, I've said this before, I would sign Joe Lolly, Adam Reach and Connor Ripley, the goalkeeper from Preston. But it's never going to happen, so. Ben Marshall, someone just said. No, we don't want Ben Marshall. Get Gary Monk in. Well, Gary Monk has just been sacked by Birmingham, for anyone that doesn't know. But there's a reason that Gary Monk keeps getting dinged everywhere he goes. It's not luck. Something's not right. But, no. Let's stick with Neil Harris for now. Neil Harris deserves the chance to prove himself. And, again, I think you need to be careful what you wish for. I think it's very difficult to say, oh, fuck Harris, get Harris out. And then who are you going to get in? Remember, we had Steve Lomas and Silly Bollocks Holloway before we had Harris, who has brought not only a bit of stability to the club, but he's brought some success with it. Absolutely, you can't argue with the stats. So let's give the gaffer the chance. And if after 10 games we're rock bottom of the champ, then he'll have to go, yes. But don't forget, let's not get above our station. These things take time. Doesn't happen overnight. If we survive next season, it's another successful season. It's another season on the ladder. It's another season of the money. And we can start, establishing ourselves further in this league. Yeah, Michael Heisman says Harris's record speaks for itself. What do you think of Sam Edozie? I think you're talking about the Arsenal striker, is that right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Just quickly tell me. Edozie. Is Edozie the youngster at Arsenal? No. Who is he then? Hi, Dan. Who do you think is a real legend? Only pick one. Neil Harris, Lee Gregory, Steve Morrison. All-time top goal scorer, mate. What can you say? It's got to be Neil Harris. I think in time you may look upon both of them potentially as real legends. I definitely think Steve Morrison, now he's gone and the nostalgia is hitting home, that Steve Morrison is definitely, will in time be looked back on as a Mill legend. I just think the only problem, well, not problem, he doesn't give a fuck, and rightly so, is the relationship with the fans. At times people don't like him because he's exactly like a Millwall fan. He doesn't give a fuck what people think. He don't care who he upsets. And for some reason, people don't like Steve Morrison for that. But it's just like the rest of us. Oh, we just sold the guy to Man City. Sorry. We just sold the guy to Man City. We got a 6-figure compensation from Man City for our 15-year-old winger who come out of the youth team. Yeah, that's right. I did tweet about that earlier in the week. What do I think about him? I honestly never seen him play. I think it's good business for us because, as you've seen before in the past with people that are touted as huge talents, Cherno Samba, Charlie Hearn was another one, and they don't make the grade. So I think get him out, and if it frees up £1 million, listen, the chances of him playing at Man City in any capacity is very, very unlikely. So for me, that's good business for the club. It shows that our youth structure is working again because that's the second player they signed from us, Man City. They signed a youth team player from us last year. We've been going 68 minutes, which is a long time, but I might do a Joe Rogan today. I might go for it. I might go for 2-3 hours. We'll see how we go. If people start getting bored and tailing off, so be it, and I'll stop. Do you have a rivalry from Charlton? Do I personally have a rivalry from Charlton, or are you not a Millwall fan? No, I don't think Millwall fans have a rivalry with Charlton. It's a local game, make no mistake. I think, and I'm not just, this ain't a dig at Charlton, I think they're a lot more bothered about us than we are about them. They haven't beaten us since 1996. I was there that day at the Valley. Lee Bowyer scored one of the goals. Their current manager, Uwe Fuchs and Chris Malkin played up front for us, I think. Do we have a rivalry with them? There is a little thing there, but it's going to sound harsh. We look upon them as the poor relation, and probably rightly so. I'd say our record speaks for itself. It's something ridiculous 1996, what's that? 30, is that 30? I don't know, something ridiculous in years. I don't know. But, no, it's 24 years or something like that since they've beaten us. But, yeah, I suppose there is a local rivalry. Where I currently live, I mean, I was born in Waterloo. I was born in St Thomas's Hospital in Waterloo. So I wasn't born far away from Mill at all, but I actually grew up in Welling, and where I currently live I'm actually closer to Charlton on the train. So maybe I should become a train spotter, who knows? Norwich fan. My mate does the Norwich channel, Talk Norwich City. Jack, good boy Jack is. Jack Reed, very good channel. Billy Symes' Guys Hospital. My favourite ever Millwall kit was the Fairview Homes kit. Obviously, we're live, so I can't put stuff up on the screen, which is frustrating. But it was the Fairview Homes kit with the blue, the white underneath. And the year we got promoted recently, where Steve Morrison scored the winner, that is also up there for me, for one of my favourite kits. And then third, probably the Lewisham kit from the season we was in the top flight. Love the Lewisham kit. Still got one somewhere. I don't think it'll fit me now. If the price was right, would I re-sign Saville? That's a different game show, wouldn't it? Now then, would I re-sign Saville? Yes, I would. But I think there'll be issues with people saying, fuck you, Saville. But that might only last 2 or 3 weeks. But the problem we've also got is as player-wise, seeing a player come back to a club for the second time, or in Saville's case, it would be the third time. Because he was on loan at us before, obviously, once before, I think, back in the day he was on loan. I'm not sure whether that was from Wolves or whether it's from Chelsea. Whether they're the same again, we saw it this year, didn't we, with Ben Marshall? I was doing fucking cartwheels when Ben Marshall came back this year, and he just didn't happen. So I think it'll be a tall order for George to come back and do well. However, I think he can do it, but at the same time, Ben Thompson seems to have nurtured into a similar sort of player that Saville was, the sort of player that pushed on, that got involved more and got in them areas. Whereas before he went to Pompey, Ben Thompson was a ball winner and a little fucking pitbull in midfield. He seems to have evolved into a player that is very similar to George Saville. But I would still be interested in bringing Saville back, but I don't think it'll happen. Not for a third time. Oh four. John Nichols says that is the best Millwall day ever. That, of course, was the semi-final in the FA Cup at Sunderland. Mate, I was so out of it. It was a joke. There was a coach load of us that went up to Manchester on the night before. Actually, I'm going to get it. Wait there 1 second. Hang on, boys and girls. Oh, no. No, I've packed it away, but obviously 30 of us went up there and we made a busy programme and printed out the whole weekend. We watched the Ricky Hatton fight on the Saturday night because the game was on a Sunday. We went back to our hotel and the referee for the game, whose name escapes me, was in the hotel. We was being nuisance, he's ringing his room. And then in the morning, I had my photo done with Niall Quinn in my pants the next day. I hadn't been to bed. Say no more, ask no questions. I will tell you no lies on that one. But yeah, it was a great day, mate. I don't remember loads of it. But then I came home from that weekend and had a big Millwall tattoo on my arm. So it was a good Millwall day. It's up there with the best of them. Highbury away in 95 was up there for me because I'd never been to an away ground like that. My brother took me when he lived in Brixton. I stayed at his house that night. That's another good one for me. What other good ones are there? The Mother's Day Massacre, obviously. West Ham, when we beat them 4-1, could have beat them 6, missed 2 penalties. There's a lot of great Millwall away days, but yeah, that's history, that one, isn't it? Tim Cahill scores the goal that sends us to Wembley. Sorry, it wasn't Wembley, was it? It was Cardiff. We lost 3-0 to Man United in the final. And then he said Man City, because he's just like on autopilot now. Man City seem to win everything. Billy Symes, again, surely Ryan Leonard's got to raise his game. But personally, I think he's something or other. Here's the thing with Leonard. And I don't want to keep burying him because he is a Millwall player. And He does seem to try, but he's fucking so slow. I honestly think I'd have a chance against him over 3 metres. But if you look back, you have to take other things into consideration that you may not have done before. Ryan Leonard come into a struggling team, a disrupted dressing room. And if you look back at the early games, I mean, funny enough, the goalkeeper we're just about to sign from Ipswich, Ryan Leonard lobbed him for the 3rd goal when we beat them at home Ipswich 3-0. He also set up the second one with his long throw. Towards the end of the season, he'd stopped taking those long throws, he'd stopped venturing forward, he'd stopped shooting. And although I don't think Ryan Leonard's up to it, I think that he has suffered some sort of, confidence crisis. I'm probably not fucking helping that, if I'm honest. And I'm sorry, mate, if I ain't. If he gets a full pre-season, I would love nothing more than to Ryan Leonard to get a full pre-season behind him, to come in, do the bollocks, and then me go, well, there you go. He's fucking shut me up. That's what I want. I'm not afraid of being proved wrong. Well, I'm a bit, but I will happily hold my hands up like I did with Shane Ferguson and say, not that I was wrong about Shane Ferguson. Shane Ferguson took on board what was being said about him and he turned it around and now I ain't got a problem with him. I'd love to go and watch Millwall walk away and go, they was all fucking brilliant. I can't fault any of them. But unfortunately, that's not football. That's not the world we live in. Ryan Leonard's suffering massively from a confidence thing, in my opinion. As I say, he stopped shooting from long range. He stopped doing the long throws. And he's just a passenger in centre midfield. He's not quick enough. He isn't creative enough. He doesn't make enough tackles. He's just there. He's just in the middle of midfield. But listen, new season, clean slate. Let's get behind all of them. Hopefully, Ryan Leonard will get a rocket up his arse, like you said, Bill, and he'll come back bigger and stronger in the next year, and I can pick on someone else instead. 1994, the FA Cup, I wanted to go to that game. It was the 94-95 season, but it was actually 95. We played Arsenal at home, drew 0-0. Then we went away, which was on the 18th of January, 1995, and that was 10 days before my 15th birthday. We got through, and the next round was against Chelsea at home. My mum bought me and my 3 friends tickets for the game, and I sat in the Cold Blood Lane upper, and that was on my actual 15th birthday, the 28th of January. We drew 0-0. We got, obviously, Chelsea away in the replay, and my dad wouldn't let me go. So me and him sat and listened to it on Capital Gold 1548. Jonathan Pearce commentating. And when Pearce screamed at the end when Casey Keller saved John Spencer's penalty, I didn't know whether we'd won or not. I was just running up and down my stairs in my old house where I grew up in Axminster Crescent in Welling. Remember it well. Couldn't believe it. As a kid, couldn't believe it that we'd done the impossible against 2 very strong Premier League teams. Then we went away to QPR and I went to that one and we lost 1-0, didn't we? Tony Witter, was it Damien Webber? Give a penalty away and we lost towards the end. But what a great cup run it's lived with me. Jesus, 95 was 24 years ago. Fuck me. Getting old. 78 minutes in, there's still 226 people joined in. So, there you go. We'll keep going. Do I know where Woolworth is? Yeah, of course I know where Woolworth is. Woolworth is at the top end of Burgess Park, Woolworth Road. Yeah, I know it well. That's originally, as a kid, where I was born. That's where my grandparents, one of them's dead, but the other one still is up that way, like Kennington way, a little bit further on. Someone said, where's Mini-Me? Mini-Me doesn't live with me. Have that for a bombshell. No, I think you know that. Mini-Me lives with his mum, but he's here a lot. He's sort of between the two. He had parents' evening tonight, so he wasn't here. And as he always does, got a very good school report, the boy. Very proud of him. Lovely kid, unlike my other one, but we won't go into that. CJ Adams, hello. Who are you? My name's Dan. I run this channel, which is Lions TV, and I talk bollocks for long amounts of time, but people seem to like it. Stay tuned. Subscribe. Danny Chappell, cheers, mate. Should we sign Jedinak? I've seen a couple of people say that. Jedinak is, correct me if I'm wrong, the big, airy, I think he's Australian, though, although his name's Jedinak, that was central midfield for, was he Aston Villa? And then I think he moved to West Brom. He might do a job for us. Again, we do need some experience in the squad, I feel now, especially as much as I say we need youth. to get a squad gelled going forward for the future. We do, obviously now, especially with Morrison leaving, need some sort of experience in there. So I wouldn't be opposed to Jedinak. I've heard a few people tap Charlie Adam about. And sometimes it's not always the influence these players have on the pitch. It can be the influence they have off the pitch as well. John Nichols, cheers, mate. Jedinak, someone's saying yes. Anyone fancy a Nando's? Had one yesterday. Punching isn't bad. What wine am I on? I'm drinking a drop of Pinot Grigio. I don't know why. I usually drink red, but the sun was out today, so I thought, let's do a long live stream. Let's have a nice drop of white. I bought some nice fillet steak to go with it, but I haven't had the chance to cook it yet because I'm too busy waffling on about the trials and tribulations of our wonderful fucking football club. Who's got a season ticket for next year? Anyone? Danny King Pearson. Cheers, Dan. Thank you, mate. Talking about the channel and it improving and getting bigger and better, I am always striving to do that. Next year, we've got a lot of sponsors. A lot of sponsors. Us winning the award, I don't know if I mentioned that, but we won an award. That's helped, and we've got a lot of new sponsors. But what we've got with these new sponsors is, and this ain't bullshit. I've said, okay, I want to start involving you lot in these offers. Yes, listen, let's have it right. I make money from the channel. That's no secret. But I want to start involving you. I've had what's it called? Football Index come to me, and they said get people to sign up, blah blah blah. And I said, well, okay, what's in it for them? And they said, well, there's nothing. I said, well, I can't ask them to sign up, and there's nothing in it for them. I want you to start now getting a cut of the cake, and that's straight. So I'm going to be building a website, because on our website we're going to have all sorts of our backball sponsors next year. They're all Millwall fans, and one that signed up today is Nick Toomey at Trustee Alarms. You may have seen us do a show from his box last season at QPR. And he's going to give us a code where you can sign up for get all your house done, safety alarms wise. But with the Lions TV, you'll get a discount and all sorts of stuff like that. We'll start trying to, we're trying to expand. We've got a clothing company coming. The guy who sponsors us next season, it's his clothing company. He's producing Millwall Clobber. And you may have seen me wearing it today. I haven't got any on now because I've taken all to my new house. I'm going to be moving tomorrow. But I've got some of these here. Look. These are the 1885 Clobber baseball caps. I'm going to give a couple of these away in the next couple of days on one of our social ones. Always giving bits and bobs away. Don't applaud me. I just like to give stuff away because channel's doing all right. It's doing well. Moving forward, I appreciate you all watching. Getting emotional on the Pinot, when Let's get back to the football. Dan, check out a young Irish striker from Spurs called Troy Parrott. On the basis of his name, I wouldn't want to sign him. Danny Ravel says he would pursue Jamal Lowe. I think we are pursuing him, mate, to the best of our abilities. I really can't commend the club enough on that. I think we really are pursuing him. But it's difficult. Portsmouth don't need to sell, and if they do need to sell, there's going to be a lot of clubs around us and in the higher division that will offer more money. So it's not easy. With our transfer budget, with our reputation, it's not easy for the gaffer. He will struggle more than most in all divisions to convince players to come and play for Millwall. And I think, myself included, I think a lot of us forget that at times. What's the most trouble I've seen at Millwall? Well, I'm not grass, mate, but obviously Birmingham was bad a few years ago. I say it always gets quite lively at Luton away, and that's in midweek this year. So that should be interesting. Pitch black on all those little back streets. But listen, Family Club of the Year, we've moved on from that, haven't we? We're a good bunch these days. Yes, I was at West Ham that night when we lost 3-1 and we was on the tube. And they wouldn't let us off the tube. And to about 3 weeks ago, I never understood why they wouldn't let us off the tube. They carried us on to about 2 or 3 stops down if any of you lot was on the tube that night. And they let us out in the middle of a housing estate. And we come through the housing estate, walk through it, and West Ham just come out of absolutely everywhere. It was carnage. But I recently watched a documentary, and the reason they didn't let us out at the actual where the ground was is because there was like thousands of West Ham trying to get through the doors of the station. So, yeah, that was quite bad that night, mate. I remember that. AJ Richards, Norwich. Again, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. When Harry said we're interested in... Harry said we're interested in some Premier League players. A lot of people are going, oh, it must be someone who's been newly promoted. Sheffield United have got a lot of strikers. Gary Medine, Billy Sharp. The other guys' names I always get confused. What's their names, the strikers? Is it McGoldrick? And the other fella, whose name I can't remember. But one of those might not be a bad punt. We say we do need a bit of experience in and around the squad. But AJ Richards, in answer to your question, you're not AJ Richards. You're saying the geezer from Norwich is AJ Richards. I don't know who he is, mate. Sorry. Has the Sam Winnall... just see my answer to that. Yeah, I did think that, mate. I did wonder. Has the Sam Winnall rumour got legs? I think any rumour's got legs if the right person says it. I could start one tomorrow and it wouldn't be true. But Sam Winnall, for me, played with Tom Bradshaw at Barnsley. I don't know. They didn't set the world alight at Barnsley, did they? No disrespect. I think we're looking to sign players. If we are looking to sign Winnall, if we are looking to sign Matt Smith, if we are looking to sign, the other fellow who I said earlier, who's on loan at Sporting Gijón, I can't remember his name, Blackman, I'm not sure of his first name. I think we're looking at these players that will just help us exist in the Championship. And I may be wrong, maybe that is what we need for the next 2 or 3 years, but I would like to see us take a chance and pursue with younger players. We was one place outside the relegation zone last season, and as much as that, again, should have been a celebration of us staying in the Championship for the second year running, but there was a lot of bad feeling, especially Bristol City away at home, home game of the season. Say that again. Especially against Bristol City at home on the last home game of last season. And because, we're Millwall fans, we don't expect to win the Champions League. We don't expect miracles. But what we do want is a performance and a team that we can watch and be excited by and be proud of. And we didn't really get that last year. A lot of lacklustre performances, absolutely no ideas or invention going forward. So I think if we got these youngsters in and pursue with them, at least we've had a go. What's the worst that can happen? Yes, we could get relegated, but I don't think we would. I think a lot of us would rather see that, and it would lift the place a bit more as well. Wouldn't you? Would you agree on that one? My God, I've been going for nearly an hour and a half. It's like the length of a football match. Shall I wrap it? Who's had enough? Shall I wrap it? We're dropping near the 200 figure. If that goes under, I will probably Millwall FA Cup. Sorry, I'll probably wrap it if I said if we go under 200, 207. Millwall FA Cup or England World Cup. No, fuck the national team. And I say fuck the national team. I went to the World Cup last year. Went to Moscow for 3.5 weeks. And it's possibly the best 3.5 weeks of my life. It was unbelievable. Best thing I've ever done. But, other than become a father, obviously. But, no, I'm Millwall over national team all day long. National team frustrated me for years and they'll continue to. We look like we're getting a little bit better. But, no, all day long I'm Millwall over the national side. I don't think you'll find many that would choose the national team's success over Millwall's or any club that they support. We got 2 mil for Edoze, Tommy says. Don't know if we did. Charlie Gill says Washington. I think he means Connor Washington, who scored the other night for, was it Northern Ireland? I think it was Northern Ireland. Apologies for those of you who are Irish, but I can't remember if he's Northern Ireland or Republic of. Again, Connor Washington, for me, another player. When I used to work for Soccer AM, I did Soccer AM, I did You Know the Drill at Peterborough. And Connor Washington was on fire there at the time, and he was a good striker. He was a lovely finisher, but again, another one coming towards the end, not really ever done it at this standard, at this level, and I'd be tempted to take a chance on a youngster. I think now as well, with the standard of football, it's pushing, as I said earlier, Chesmain, Rooney, Alfie Pavey. It's pushing these players down to the national level, but the National League is no joke. It's a good standard. A lot of these teams are full-time, so I think that the National League, if you took a player out there, it could be worth a punt, a youngster. I'd rather that, honestly. I'd rather that than go after Matt Smith, than go after the player we just mentioned, Connor Washington. Right, we've dropped below 200, which... Oh, no, we're back up to 200. Thomas Gaming, did I film You Know the Drill? I did. I did. 1 second. I did film You Know the Drill. And when I filmed, You Know the Drill, I used to try and get a ball every time I went from the club, so I got that one. Apologies, but I've got another one there. Won't tell you what club that was from, but I've got loads upstairs, and I will be giving them away as part of the giveaway as well. There's like official match balls. I did loads. I went to St George's Park 3 times with You Know the Drill. I did Burton, I did the England Women's, and I did Derby. I did Leeds twice. I did Burnley. I've done loads. I've done loads of You Know the Drills. Blinding, really good. Learnt a lot and transferred those skills to this. Questions. Any more questions or shall I wrap it here? We're losing people now. 193 we're down to. We're 90 minutes in, which is an hour and a half. Finn Hart says, do I still work in media? Well, yeah, Lions TV. That is, at the minute, I did have a job, but I obviously was ill, and then I nearly died, and then I recovered, but then I had to have surgery again at the back end of last season. So I had surgery December last year, and I had to quit my job to have that surgery because I knew I was going to be signed off for 6 months. I'm just starting to get back to my actual old self, like fully, well, not fit, but fit-ish. So I'm going to try and pursue Lions TV full-time next year. And don't get me wrong, I used to earn 5 times as much when I was a roofer. But if I can scrimp and scrape this year and do it full-time, I want to try and go to every friendly, every league match, every cup match. And I think if I can get through this year, after that should be going forward, fingers crossed, I should be just about making a living out of it. Just about. Sign Abdu. Apparently we are interested in Albert Adoma. I think Albert Adoma came on a sub, didn't he, for Aston Villa in the playoff final. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he's used before that. Did he play for Bristol City, Adoma? I think he did. He's not someone I'd be opposed to signing, but at the same time, as you know, it sounds like a broken record, but it's the wage problem, isn't it? It's the wages. He must be on a serious amount of cosh at Aston Villa. And I don't think we could afford his wages. Yeah, see, someone said Adoma's going to Borough. I think he used to play for Bristol City as well, so obviously that could be a window for him. Abdu as our next manager. Fuck me, I hope not. Kane Power says, step 1 to your recovery, get some glasses. And mate, I'm sorry, I did cover it earlier. We've been going a long time, so you might not have seen it, but I'm moving tomorrow. And I've started moving stuff to the other place. There's not a lot left in here. And I've left my glasses up there. So I did apologise at the start of the stream that I might be doing like that and stuff. But there you go. Morrow, future manager. Yeah, definitely. I think he's doing his badges. And I definitely think that could be the way to go for Super Steve Morrison. What's the biggest thing you've given up for football? A marriage? Someone's doing some revision for a French exam. Well, I think the lack of signings, I've been through that. Right, I'm going to drop it there. I'm going to wrap it there, sorry, because we've gone from 240 people watching to 178. So I did deliberately try and go a little bit. You got a big forehead. You're fucking not wrong, James. We've been going for a very long time now, over an hour and a half. And I don't know how Joe Rogan does it for 3 hours because I'm absolutely shattered. It does actually wore you out doing this. But thanks for watching. I have got a funny feeling that you could see me tomorrow because I've got a sneaky suspicion, just a hunch, that we could be signing some players. Keep your eyes peeled for giveaways. Keep your eyes peeled for our new sponsors, website links that are going up where you can get clothing or you can get discounts to get in your house covered and protected with some fire alarms and security. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Lions TV because we are about 300 subscribers away from 10,000 when that massive pile of stuff that I showed you the other day on my table he's going to go. I knew I was moving, so I was hoping that it would go before I moved, but that isn't the case. So I've now got to ship it all the way to the other gaff. It's actually in a cupboard down there. But yeah, that's it, boys and girls. As I say, it's always live, and I'm not a massive fan of the live shows. They're a bit shitty. I stutter a lot, I squint a lot, and I prefer a nice, very well edited VT. But you lot seem to like the live streams. Maybe it shows a little bit more of the realistic me. Not that I'm fake, but there you go. We're down to 168 people watching, and I've got a couple of Joe Blakes over there that are smiling at me, so I'm going to whack them on the grill. And as I said, I am pretty sure, don't quote me on it, but I'm going to see you tomorrow because I think we're going to sign a couple of players. Please subscribe to Lions TV. Come on, you Lions.